There is a trap so sophisticated, so perfectly designed, that almost everyone falls into it. You think you are winning at life, while you are actually losing your soul. You feel successful while becoming spiritually bankrupt. Ghazali called it love of this world, and he wrote 200 pages explaining exactly how this trap works and why even good people cannot escape it without divine guidance. Ghazali was not speaking from theory. He was the most successful academic of his time, teaching at the most prestigious university in Baghdad, earning the highest salary, commanding the respect of thousands of students. By every measure that matters in this world, he had made it. But something was eating away at him from the inside. He realized that his worldly success was actually destroying his relationship with God. This revelation led him to write one of the most devastating critiques of worldly attachment ever penned. In Book 26 of his masterwork, The Revival of the Religious Sciences, Ghazali dedicates an entire volume to what he calls the censure of this world. He begins with a warning that will shake you to your core. He says this world is perfidious, which means it is deliberately treacherous and deceptively harmful. The world promises you everything and delivers nothing but spiritual destruction. The more you love it, the more it betrays you. And the most dangerous part is that you never see it coming because it feels like success. But what exactly does Ghazali mean by love of this world? He is not talking about appreciating beauty, enjoying good food, or loving your family. He is talking about something far more subtle and dangerous. He means making this temporary world your ultimate concern, your final destination, your source of identity and self-worth. It means living as if this life is all there is, even if you intellectually believe in an afterlife. Ghazali provides a simple test to measure whether you love this world more than the next. Ask yourself honestly, what makes you happiest? What makes you saddest? What do you think about most often? What keeps you awake at night? If the answer involves anything that will not exist in 100 years, then you have fallen into the trap. Your heart has become attached to something that is designed to disappear. The first way this world destroys your soul is through what Ghazali calls false promises. This world whispers to you constantly. It says if you just get that promotion, you will finally be happy. If you just find the right relationship, you will finally be fulfilled. If you just accumulate enough wealth, you will finally be secure. If you just gain enough recognition, you will finally feel valuable. But Ghazali reveals the cruel truth. This world never delivers on its promises. Every achievement leads to a new craving. Every success reveals a new inadequacy. You think you are climbing a ladder toward happiness, but you are actually walking on a treadmill. You expend enormous energy, make tremendous sacrifices, and endure incredible stress, only to discover that you are exactly where you started, just more exhausted. The promotion brings new pressures. The relationship brings new problems. The wealth brings new worries. The recognition brings new enemies. And you realize that this world was lying to you all along. The second way this world destroys your soul is through what Ghazali calls spiritual blindness. When your heart becomes attached to worldly things, you gradually lose the ability to see spiritual reality. You start judging everything by worldly standards. You measure success by wealth, beauty by physical appearance, value by social status. You become spiritually colorblind, unable to perceive the divine light that illuminates everything. Ghazali explains that spiritual sight and worldly sight operate in opposite directions. The more focused you become on worldly success, the less you can see spiritual truth. The more you chase temporal pleasures, the less you can taste eternal joy. The more you seek validation from people, the less you can hear the voice of God. You become like someone staring so intently at their phone screen that they cannot see the sunset happening right above them. The third way this world destroys your Soul is through what Ghazali calls spiritual starvation. Your soul has needs just like your body. It needs connection with the divine. It needs purpose beyond the material. It needs hope in something eternal. But when you become obsessed with worldly pursuits, you starve your soul while feeding your ego. You spend all your energy pursuing things that cannot nourish your deepest being. Ghazali uses the metaphor of someone dying of thirst while holding a mirage. The more desperately they chase the illusion of water, the thirstier they become. This world offers you mirages of satisfaction, but every time you reach them, you discover there is nothing there. Meanwhile, the real water, the divine presence that could actually quench your spiritual thirst, flows all around you unnoticed. The fourth way this world destroys your soul is through what Ghazali calls spiritual competition. When you love this world, you inevitably start comparing yourself to others. You judge your worth based on how much you have compared to them. You feel threatened by their success and pleased by their failures. You become consumed with envy, jealousy, and resentment. Your heart becomes a battlefield where you are constantly fighting invisible wars against people who may not even know you exist. Ghazali points out that this competition is absurd because you are competing for things that do not ultimately matter. It is like prisoners in a cell fighting over who gets to sit closest to the window, while remaining oblivious to the fact that the cell door is unlocked and they could walk free at any time. The things you are fighting for in this world will be meaningless in your grave, but the spiritual qualities you neglect while fighting for them will determine your eternal destiny. Fifth way this world destroys your soul is through what Ghazali calls spiritual amnesia. When you become deeply attached to worldly things, you gradually forget your true purpose. You forget that you are a temporary visitor in this world, not a permanent resident. You forget that you will be held accountable for every moment you spent here. You forget that this entire world is a test designed to reveal the condition of your heart. Ghazali says that love of this world makes you act like someone who checks into a hotel and becomes so fascinated with decorating their room that they forget they have a home to return to. You spend all your time and energy making your temporary accommodation more comfortable while neglecting the eternal home that awaits you. You become so absorbed in the journey that you forget the destination. But Ghazali does not leave you hopeless. He provides practical solutions for escaping this trap. The first solution is what he calls mindful remembrance of death, not in a morbid way, but as a reminder of reality. Every worldly attachment becomes insignificant when viewed from the perspective of your deathbed. Every worldly success becomes meaningless when you consider that you could die tonight. This remembrance does not make life depressing. It makes it free. Free from the anxiety of protecting things you cannot keep. Free from the stress of achieving things that do not last. The second solution Ghazali provides is what he calls cultivating spiritual perspective. Instead of judging everything by worldly standards, learn to see everything from a divine viewpoint. Ask yourself, how will this decision affect my relationship with God? How will this pursuit influence my spiritual growth? How will this attachment impact my preparation for the afterlife? When you consistently apply these questions, worldly temptations lose much of their power over you. The third solution is what Ghazali calls practicing spiritual detachment. This does not mean becoming passive or uncaring. It means engaging with the world without being enslaved by it. Use worldly things without being used by them. Enjoy worldly pleasures without being addicted to them. Pursue worldly goals without making them your ultimate purpose. You can participate in this world while remembering that you do not belong to it. Ghazali uses the metaphor of a skilled horseman. The horseman uses the horse to reach his destination, but he does not become so attached to the horse that he forgets where he is going. Similarly, you can use worldly resources to fulfill your divine purpose, but you must not become so attached to those resources that you lose sight of your eternal destination. The fourth solution Ghazali provides is what he calls investing in spiritual wealth. Instead of spending all your energy accumulating things that you will lose at death, invest in things that will accompany you into the next world. Acts of worship, knowledge of God, service to others, purification of character, remembrance of divine names. These spiritual treasures cannot be stolen, do not depreciate with time, and will be waiting for you when everything else disappears. Ghazali reveals that people who truly understand this principle experience a profound shift in their priorities. They do not stop working or achieving, but they work and achieve for different reasons. Their worldly success becomes a means to spiritual ends rather than an end in itself. Their wealth becomes a tool for serving God rather than a source of personal identity. Their relationships become opportunities for spiritual growth rather than sources of ego validation. The most profound insight Ghazali offers is about the nature of true satisfaction. He teaches that the emptiness you feel despite worldly success is not a sign that you need more worldly things. It is a sign that you are trying to fill a divine void with temporal objects. Your soul has a God-shaped vacuum that cannot be filled with anything except God Himself. Every worldly pleasure you pour into this vacuum simply drains away, leaving you emptier than before. But when you redirect your love from the temporal to the eternal, something miraculous happens. You do not lose your capacity for joy. You discover true joy. You do not become indifferent to beauty. You perceive real beauty. You do not stop caring about people. You learn to love them more purely. The problem was never that you loved too much, but that you loved the wrong things in the wrong way for the wrong reasons. Ghazali concludes his teaching with a powerful reminder. This world is not your enemy, but it is not your friend either. It is a test. Every worldly blessing is an examination of your gratitude. Every worldly trial is an examination of your patience. Every worldly temptation is an examination of your spiritual strength. The question is not whether you will encounter these tests, but whether you will pass them. The trap is sophisticated because it disguises spiritual failure as worldly success. You can win everything the world offers and lose everything that actually matters. But the trap is not inescapable. Ghazali has shown you exactly how it works and exactly how to escape. The choice is yours. Will you continue chasing mirages until you die of spiritual thirst, or will you turn toward the divine fountain that can satisfy your deepest needs? Remember, the world you love so much will abandon you in your grave, but the God you may have been neglecting while chasing worldly pleasures will be with you forever. The question Ghazali leaves you with is simple but profound. What are you choosing to love, and what is that love doing to your soul?